the new edition of the National Agenda. Disclaimer, anything I say is my fault unless you like it, in which case everybody gets credit. Only things that are collectively written share blame. So, who needs digital preservation? Not many of you raised your hand. I don't think anybody needs it. I mean, I think we need it like we need. People don't need drills; they need holes. But we need durable, long-term access for a whole bunch of reasons. For authentic public records, for a cumulative scientific evidence base, for our national heritage, for the strategic information reserve, and to communicate to future generations. But why do we need things like the National Digital Stewardship? Why do we need to collaborate? This is something that we've been thinking about in the agenda and in NDSA for the last few years. And one reason is more. There's more stuff. And there's more data, there's more open data, there are more learners, there are more publishing. And digital stuff is different. Digital stuff is different in a number of ways. It's easier to make accessible, it's easier to make replicable, it's computable, it's changeable. An implication of this is that organizations rely on stuff that doesn't walk through the door. Organizations rely on things that they don't produce. When things were analog, to be able to rely on that information, it had to come to you. Now, there's more digital content out there than any single organization can possibly deal with on its own. There are more people publishing, more people learning from it, more attention to information available from the public, more embedding of this information. And so organizations need to be concerned about what information is out there in the universe and whether it's going to be durable. So why don't we just let everybody else do it? One reason is the risks. I mean, Amazon says, you can put stuff in there and they'll save it for as long as you keep paying the bills. And they give a reliability figure of 11 nines, which sounds good. Better odds than winning Powerball and being struck by lightning and discovering aliens all at the same time. Except that it's a dimensionless quantity. Amazon never tells you what those 11 nines mean. 11 out of what and out of what time. And we know from analysis that the set of risks that's being considered is very narrow. Hardware failure based on hardware published manufacturer failure rates, which we know don't stand up to empirical analysis. And Amazon doesn't really believe it either, because their SLAs don't provide any guarantee of this reliability. You get your partial refund of the service charges if they drop your stuff. And it's not necessary, and it may cost some to put in, but the price to take it out is a lot more if you need it all at once. So having other people is not costly either. There are a number of risks that we know about, that we've explored, and Amazon doesn't. And one of the lessons in the digital preservation community, one of the things that is being widely recognized, is that no single institution can counter all the risks to information, because some of the risks come from the institution itself, or from that institution's funders, or are targeted attacks against it. In an analog world, there was not much you could do about this, but in a digital world, we can collaborate on stewardship and diversify risks. And increasingly, essential knowledge is distributed. There are so many technologies that we rely on, so many standards, that just to understand everything requires coordination with colleagues. So the National Agenda for Digital Stewardship, which is being updated for 2015, attempts to create a roadmap for this, for where the community can collaboratively or coordinate on stewardship. And it's aimed at senior institutional decision makers and focuses on digital content areas, organizational roles, technical infrastructure, and research. What's new in this edition, this was first released last year, and it identified key trends and challenges. In this new edition, which will be out this summer, we're calling out action steps. And the theme that's emerged with reviewer commentary and across the agenda is developing the evidence base for collective action, which is in digital content areas, what's at risk and what content is safeguarded, for organizational roles and policies, what practices are we using in the community, how are we managing risk, where is the community capacity, for technical infrastructure and research, what are critical tools and standards, and in the research area, what preservation practices work, how do we know, what resources, what information is valuable and will be valuable in the future, and how can we give evidence for that. So what has NDSA been doing in this area? And NDSA, this cannot do all of this. This is a much wider problem than this voluntary organization or even all of the institutional members in it. But the overall mission of NDSA is to establish, maintain, and advance the capacity to preserve our nation's digital resources for present and future. It was established in 2010, and over the last year, it's grown to include over 165 organizations across all sectors, universities, consortia, professional associations, commercial enterprise. It works through contributed effort. So the deal is that organizations sign up by committing to principles and contribute effort to working groups, reports, surveys, and other initiatives. And these are the values that NDSA organizations hold. So NDSA initiatives over the last several years have been working in several areas, and there have been a number of interesting results. One is in extending the knowledge base for capacity. NDSA has hosted a number of staffing surveys, which point out what the capacity for digital stewardship is in different organizations. Storage surveys, so we know what practices members are using and what amounts of contents are being managed. Case studies, and the community is starting to survey areas of content on the web. Archiving survey, what areas of content are being safeguarded by what organizations. This has produced a number of reports and both tools for analysis and tools for practice, like the levels of preservation. And raising awareness and sharing knowledge, a number of strands here, both through at the widest social media, but in the last year or so, there have been a lot of regional meetings where practitioners have been coming together to share local information. And an interesting preliminary result from the storage survey is that within this network of 165 organizations, there's a lot of content, or comparatively, that when you start adding up all of these numbers of what we're all managing as for the long term, there are hundreds of petabytes of stuff. We don't know a lot about exactly what this stuff is, but we expect it to double over the next several years. And we know that because of the nature of the institutions, this is stuff that has been selected and curated. It's not simply whatever went up on YouTube. So NDSA stewards NDSA organizations are by construction, stewards of content for communities beyond their institutional boundaries. And so this is part of the national record. For more information, NDSA, all the reports, and all of that stuff is on the webpage, but we'll also encourage you to contact NDSA if you would like to bring briefings, webinars, or consultations back to your organization, if you need commentary on particular reports, or help with review discussion panels and the like. This is where you go for more information. I'll cede the 30 seconds to the gentle people from DC.